I wanted to find something that was just a little bit more exhilarating, I guess.
So what guided you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me use his example and then just like take a huge
I did
jump.
not mean. I did not
and
mean.
that's okay. Welcome back to Between the Fields. I'm your host, Rahimi, and this is Dennis Boskert.
We're brought here today with
Kalli Krivdo.
Awesome, Kalli. Thank you for joining us. We're just going to give you a quick rundown again. Ramin, I played soccer over at Florida Atlantic University. I'm currently a pharmacy manager. And Dennis?
played soccer at FAU men's soccer as well. I believe we played together a couple years, and I am currently a CT MRI technologist.
And Kalli?
I also played soccer, women's FAU soccer team. 2 years, but still played on the team. And I'm currently a product designer, or known as a UX designer.
Very cool.
Awesome. So glad you could join us. We just wanted to hear a little bit about your journey as the former collegiate athlete, where you transitioned from high school into college, into your sport, and then into the work field.
Yeah.
Dennis, you want to, I guess, first
Yeah.
question we want to kind of know about her?
Yeah. So, kind of coming into college, how did you get recruited, and how did you get scouted by FAU?
Yeah. So I played for a competitive team in Houston. So I'm originally from College Station, Texas. If anyone knows where that is, it's where Texas A&M University is located. So I played for the club team in Houston, and I I reached out to a bunch of coaches, and I had a couple of
You sent a bunch of emails out, kind of like your senior year?
Well, no, it was more like sophomore year, kind of like
Okay.
showing that interest. It's kind of like all a blur. I feel like it was so long ago.
We're old.
So I do have a question though. Like, did you know you wanted to play college soccer, or
I
it was
did.
kind of like that your team was leading you, like everybody on the team, like that was the push?
No,
Like you were expected?
I think I always knew I wanted to play, and I feel like, I mean, you guys can probably relate. You played your entire lives, and you probably go through that uncertainty at some point. And for me, at least, I remember I had a burnout at when I was in, I don't know, 5th grade, and I'm like, do I really want to keep going with this? This is like a job.
I think I had one of those.
Yeah, I think I
Because it was so mental, and nobody talked about
no,
how mental
no
it
one
was.
really talks about that, which is, it's crazy because you play your entire life at that point, and you don't really realize oh wow, this is a job for me. But it's a sport you love. But I feel like it's a combination of something you love, and you're doing it for other people, i.e. your parents. I'm sure I did it a lot for my parents.
Yeah.
But no, I always wanted to play in college, and I didn't know where specifically. But I remember, I don't know, it was such a tough time. It was, you're reaching out to coaches, but you have coaches coming to see your games, and then they're reaching out to you. But I kind of I knew I didn't want to be in Texas. So I had a couple of we had a couple tournaments in Florida. I remember in Orlando and Fort Lauderdale and Tampa, and I remember thinking, and I have family down here, so I was I really want to play in Florida. And so I remember talking to a couple of colleges in Texas and one in New Mexico.
Ooh.
But I ultimately was I want to go to Florida. And there was another girl on my team actually talking FAU too. So it just worked out that we actually both got recruited. But it was such a, I don't know, it's a blur at that point, because there's so much going on. It's junior, senior year. It's getting so serious. And
when you found out they were interested to bring you on the team, were you excited? You're perfect, this is my plan.
Yeah. No, I was ready to get out of my hometown.
Be on your own, another state.
Yeah, no, I was so pumped for that. It was, but like I said, it's mentally a weird place to be in, because I did want to play and I was very excited for it, but there was other parts of me that were just what else is out there? But that's just
No, that's awesome. And so you essentially just kind of went to different, I guess, tournaments, and that's kind of how you got the people to see you,
Yeah.
and then you made contact like through an email. Was that how you were kind of talking to them, or they called you?
They
Or?
called, and then there was email, I believe, as well. Like,
Okay.
and then I did a couple of visits in Texas specifically. I did I did come to FAU for a visit. Wow, I forgot
So
about
you
that.
actually visited the college,
I
checked
did,
it out, liked
yeah.
it?
Oh my God,
Okay.
I did. I forgot that I did that. I did that, and I think it was just like a no-brainer. I was like, why would I not come to Boca Raton, Florida, to play soccer? So
There you go.
Yeah.
it was just like, yeah, definitely. And then I had a teammate that was coming with me, so it was just like
Close to the beach.
so close to the
Great
beach.
weather.
It's
Can't
funny
complain.
because we take it for granted because we live in South Florida.
Never go to the
But like
beach.
when other people come here, that's like it's like
Yeah.
all new and everything like
The
that.
Northerners love getting hit by waves for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding.
The Canadians or okay.
Northerners.
Okay, so then you have now decided that you're going to FAU.
Yeah, you just committed. Was there like a preseason packet that your coaches sent you that you had to follow
Yeah.
leading up? So did you follow it or like?
Well, this is very interesting. After 2 months after I commit, I tore my ACL.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did that change things or?
A lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Like no, extremely. Like for me, it was just a mental shift. And
Especially like you said that you kind of were torn between, if you wanted to continue playing,
yeah.
and then this happens.
Well, I think like once I commit to FAU, it was like full throttle. Like, yeah, I'm so ready for this. And then that that moment that I was like, oh, I tore my ACL. Like, especially 2 months after like signing and like having that whole like celebration. Like, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I've never torn anything, so I could only imagine.
It's so much. Oh my! I remember, and it wasn't even like in competitive. It was our high school tournament. We actually went to regionals, and we like broke a record for our high school as like to go to regionals. And I remember we were playing against like people that I knew from like my club team, and I was like, I wanted to kick their ass. I just remember like thinking that, and I like literally 20 minutes into the game, it just like snapped, and I heard it and I felt it. I think I was in denial. Like I was like, get me back, and like I'm good. You know, it's like that adrenaline, and then yeah.
I can't imagine the feeling.
Do you remember like mentally like what
Yeah.
you kind of did, like what you were going through, like how you got through it, like anything like?
I think it was just a lot to handle, but I remember reaching out to the coach and like letting him know I'm not going to be coming for like the summer to like train and stuff like that, because I think there wasn't really like a package. It was more like come and train, and he was like, it's fine, just like rest up, like do your physical therapy and stuff, and then come beginning of the semester.
That must
And
have been good to hear that he still wanted you to.
yeah, no,
come in.
absolutely, which was nice. It just, but I think coming into that situation, it's a D1 sport, and you're like, this is like my freshman year. I'm gonna be out for however long. It's a lot mentally to like think of that, and how you're gonna come back and be the best that you can be
sure.
and like really like make a name for yourself from the beginning.
So it sounds like you were lucky enough to skip preseason. Like you did not do preseason. That's kind of what I'm gathering.
No fitness.
And you still got to commit
No.
to the school that you wanted to go to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you redshirted your freshman year then.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I couldn't play. I had knee issues. I remember like getting like cortisone shots in my knee. Like it was like,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, it sucked. And yeah, it was just, yeah, I think it was like a difficult time for me.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you just kind of like were doing recovery or physical
therapy. I just go to practice and like watch them practice.
Okay, that's all right.
They're like, who's this freshman that just came in? We don't even know how she plays. Like,
yeah, probably.
she's just sitting on the sideline, like watching us play. Like, yeah.
So you kind of focused your freshman year on mainly like academics, kind of.
Yeah.
or the partying lifestyle.
I remember we had a party at our soccer house one time,
Yeah.
and police were called, and two freshman soccer women players ran into the closet to hide.
It was me. No.
I think I saw those photos. Yeah.
It was Danny and I.
It was Danny and this one.
It was Danny.
It's hiding in the closet.
That's
I
hilarious.
remember that.
We'll post it down below.
There you go. So
Yeah.
you finally played though after your freshman year, your redshirt freshman year.
Even more interesting.
Wait, there's
What
more.
what happened next? Like,
Well, no. So sophomore year, I remember like going home to Texas for like maybe a month, and then I was like, I'm gonna work my ass off. Like, I really want to like get back into
Were
it.
you running by then when you?
I was, yeah, I like started running. It took me almost a year to come back from to bounce back from my knee surgery.
Yeah.
It like literally took me so long. I think I had so much like muscle loss in my quad that like it wasn't supporting like my kneecap. I don't know. It hurt to like walk and run.
yeah.
But it took me a while to get there. And when I did, like, I just remember like working my ass off to like get back into shape. And there was actually like a big group of girls and I should note that like we had a different coach that came in, which was honestly the best thing that ever happened for FAU women's soccer. Shout out Coach Baker. He is amazing. I don't like the amount of times that I've cried to that man. like it, like it was I don't know, he was a great addition to the team. But we like everyone had to get serious because it was like if you aren't fit, like you are getting cut from this team
I
basically.
think we
Coach Baker
we experienced that a little bit.
Yeah, he was intense. So like I just remember thinking like I'm getting back into this, like I don't care. And I like lived with my uncle in Davie, and I just every day I would like run at midday. Like I went to like and like he sent us like a whole package, like the 300s, like the beep tests and stuff like that. So, but like
I don't know what they are, but
we were so disciplined. Like it was Danny, it was like Taylor who was on the team, like a bunch of like girls that were like older than us that we would all go to Oxley and like literally like work out. Like we were the fittest on the team. Like it was good. Yeah, it was a good
we have
group
a
of people.
solid group. You motivate each other, push each other, and
So I probably was like the fittest I've ever been in my entire life. And I remember going in and like it was just tournament play. Like it wasn't even conference yet. And we were at FGCU playing against Mississippi State. And I remember I kind of fell and like my knee just like buckled and it felt weird. So I got off the field and like they did the whole like, test and it was loose. And I just remember thinking like, oh, like this is awful.
oh jeez.
And so I had to be out for another 2 months. I had like basically like strained the muscle or whatever. And like then I had to wear my brace. And I'm like, I hate running in my brace. And like I think at that point I was like I was ready to be done. I think like I worked my entire life to be like as good as I can, and then to tear it and then bounce back and like feel like I was fit. Maybe not like skill wise, I still like had to work on that, but to come back, it was like very discouraging, like very discouraging.
No. I mean, yeah. Again, I can only imagine, but mentally, it sounds like it was super mental, like just literally going through injuries, and then like people are probably saying things, and you're trying to like make an impression on for yourself, or just I don't know, so you can show everybody else, hey, what you're capable of.
Yeah.
But bringing it back to your first game, do you remember like what was like going through your mind when you first got in the field and like you got your first touches on the ball?
Oh, I remember my heart was racing. Like, and it wasn't much time, like you kind of get put out there like as a little test. I remember my heart was racing. And I think my family came out too. I was like, I think I'm gonna play, like, and I mean it wasn't a lot. Like I really had to earn my spot on the team, especially after being injured for so long, which is completely understandable. But it was exciting. I mean, nonetheless, it was like a really exciting moment.
It's like you come on in the 89th minute, you got like 3 or 4 minutes to like just like
I get like one
that you
pass
tried.
across the field. Yeah, I made it.
100% pass completion.
I remember it being a good pass across the field.
So your story is kind of unique too because you have these injuries. You kind of reached that point where I'm assuming you had kind of withdrawn from the soccer. You weren't ready to continue. You pulled out in a way.
Yeah, I remember like having that difficult conversation with Coach Baker and like my parents, and just like coming to that decision where I was like, I just don't want to continue like playing anymore.
Because it's emotional battle. You get good, you're clear, you're playing, and then you boom, you're
Yeah,
down.
and I just felt like there was more out there that I wanted to experience. Like I wanted to study abroad. Like I just wanted to like do other things that are difficult as a college athlete. And I remember having that conversation with Coach Baker, and I was just like, I'm done playing. Like this is it. And but I was ready for it. I think I was like, but there is that emotional battle because you're like, you kind of have that like thoughts of like I'm a failure, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I wish I could have done more. Like I could have been better. There's so much more that I could have done.
So for like the people that are watching now, right? So some people that might be injured, or experiencing injuries, like, looking back at it, are you like, wow, I regret not continuing again, or you are completely satisfied now at this point in your life?
I don't regret it now.
Yeah.
I think at the time I was really bitter because it's like I played for like 16 years. Like that was my full-time job
And you're giving
forever.
something up that you've been basically your life.
Right. Like it's definitely something that I feel like a lot of college athletes have to deal with. Even if they feel like they've made it through, 4 years of college and maybe professional, I think it's that transition of like or just identifying like who am I? Like after
lose your identity,
like after you stop playing, it's like who am I and like
What
what
do
do
I
I
do
want to do? Yeah.
Yep.
So I mean that came early and I think that was okay, but at the time I was a little upset. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to. I did love soccer, and I do love soccer. I haven't played in a while, but I think it was. I don't regret it anymore because at the end of the day, like it was where I met my now fiance, and I got to experience. And I came back to live here because I love Florida, and so it's like I think it was all meant for a reason. And but then I got to go to Texas A&M and I got to study abroad and then beyond that, which we can get to, I got to like live abroad and it's just where I am now. So look at
Very cool.
that, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever will be will be.
No, it's interesting. That's why I was just curious. So you kind of transitioned past the soccer. You said you wanted to study abroad. Did you how was your majors? Like, did you know what you wanted to do, or you were just like, hey, get me out of Florida now. I want to go abroad?
Well, FAU, I didn't really know what I wanted to do at all. I think I was like in communication. The easiest thing you can do is just like kind of get those prerequisites and just be like, until you figure out like what you really want to do. But I think I wanted to. I still want to do it. I've always wanted to be a diplomat, and there's always time for that. But I ended up majoring in like international relations at Texas A&M, and there wasn't like they required you to study abroad there, and I feel like there wasn't like anything similar at FAU. So I just remember thinking like, oh, this is great. Like I'm gonna go to A&M. I'm gonna like at the time I was like studying Italian as well. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna like continue studying Italian when I'm there, and then they required me to study abroad, so I'm gonna go to Italy.
All right.
So you kind of knew, like when you were done playing or when you went back to Texas A&M, you wanted to go abroad. You wanted to do some sort of studying abroad.
Always wanted, like that was like the first thing I wanted to do. Like is find a major where I like am required to study abroad. And but like I've always loved languages, so like I always wanted to like do something with languages. Like I remember when I was at FAU, I was like teaching myself Japanese, and I was like,
remember that a little bit. Yeah. At one of the parties, she whipped out an app.
Like a manga, like just started doing a manga.
She pulled out an app and she was showing off to everybody.
What are those? Like
so
the
embarrassing.
that they make, like the I don't even know.
But yeah, yes, if anyone knows me, that's
anime.
like what I'm like blushing. That's always what I want. No, I don't. Okay. I don't watch anime,
right.
but like.
For the record, I don't. Okay.
But no, that's like I always knew I wanted to do that when after soccer. That was like one thing I was for sure of, but everything else it was just still kind of like finding like who am I? Like who is this person after soccer?
So once you got back you went to Italy, you studied abroad in Italy?
Yeah, so I studied abroad in Italy.
How many years were you there?
No, well, my study abroad was just the summer, so it was like 3 months. But then when I was there, I was like, oh my god, I love it. And then I decided I wanted to move back after I graduated. So that's when I moved back and I worked for a travel company there.
God, that's what I was gonna say. Once you came back, did you know what you were gonna do when you graduated?
Yeah.
But you went back and
what about when you went to the travel company? Are you like, hey, I'm satisfied at what I'm doing now, or you?
No, no, that was very much it was a growing experience, but it was like one of the best times of my life, really. Um, it it wasn't like when I was there, like it was just a company that I knew of. Um, and I just decided to like apply after I graduated because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
still was just kind of like,
Just so we get a timeline, how old are you just at this point in
I'm
time?
31.
No, not
Oh.
not this point in time, but like during your
You graduated.
your yeah. As
So
a
I
travel-
graduated a year later because my credits didn't all transfer to A&M when I went transferred from FAU.
Mhm.
So I guess I was 20, almost 23, I guess, or 23 when I went and moved to Italy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wasn't like ready to grow up. I feel like and I feel like being a diplomat, there's a lot involved with that. Like there's like a lot of studying and then like the tests and then like getting like security clearance and stuff, and I was just like,
Oh wow.
Well,
I'm not mature enough. I was like, I'm not mature enough for that. I need more life
You want
experiences.
me responsible with some
No.
secrets?
Yeah.
No.
I was like, I need like to just experience life a little bit more since I didn't growing up.
So you were like travel company. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, absolutely. I applied and I was so excited when like I got in, and it was a very much, I don't really want to say too much, but it was like not like a very it wasn't like I was making a lot of money there. Like it was
Oh no no.
it was more of like you just experience a lot of stuff.
It was
And
basically enough to live while you were there. And
yeah,
go away.
and I feel like it looked great on a resume. It really did. Like the amount of times people just would talk about it when I was like in job interviews after. They're like, "What is this?" And I'm like, honestly, great. I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Lots to
imagine
talk about.
imagine me like at the time being 23 and like being in charge of like almost 60 people that are like my age basically, or a year like younger, in a foreign country, and like having to take care of them. Like it I learned a lot of life lessons, so it was good.
Very cool.
But I was there for like 8 months, and then I decided I needed to grow up at that point. And moved back.
So I guess that's another question too. Like, so it was at that point like you say, hey, I want to choose something to like, start a career or
Yeah,
get more
I
career.
still didn't even know what I wanted to do at that point. Like I had to come back home and then like go through that whole process. So it took me a while to kind of end up where I am now.
Did you have someone guiding you, kind of like
Mentor?
Yeah.
I didn't have a mentor, and it's probably something I should have had. Now
So
that
were
I
you on Google? What makes good money?
Yeah, like
Enter.
you have
well,
just had
coming
somebody
from like
follow-
where I lived in in Italy, like coming from like that job to like a normal life was hard. Like it's like you wanted to do that for the rest of your life, but you're like, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
I have to
yeah,
come back and like figure out what I actually want to do, which was always being a diplomat, but I'm still not ready to like take that leap. So it was like, I wish I had that like, oh, I wanted to be an engineer or like, a pharmacist. Like I just wish I had that like thought process to like do it, but I feel like I wanted to find something that was just a little bit more exhilarating, I guess.
So what
No,
guided
no.
you?
Okay. Yeah.
Pharmacist.
Let me use his example
Not
and then
cool.
just like take a huge.
I did
jump.
not mean. I did
No,
not
and
mean.
that's okay. What's it called?
I've
Not
never been
exhilarating.
I've never been a pharmacist before, so I don't know. Like that's probably an exhilarating job. I have no idea.
You have no idea.
I don't mean. I don't mean to offend. That's not what I meant.
Extra stimulating all the time.
Yeah. So
Betty's coming for her meds and shit.
where did that
Where did it leave me?
Where did that the dream for the exhilaration leave you? Like this better be like super good. I'm joking.
It left me in confusion, and that's why I wish I just had more of like a. But I don't know if I don't know if like soccer's. I can't say that having played soccer and just feeling like maybe I'll go professional one day was like always something that like I don't know. I just feel like everyone's different, but I wish I did have a little bit more direction. but that's okay. Like I said, like I think that's okay. Like you don't necessarily need to have that. Like I'm happy where I am now, and it may have taken me like a while to get there.
It taught you life lessons, the journey.
Right. Like it's not like there's no like linear way of getting anywhere you want to be. Like it's there's it's fine. Maybe I shouldn't say I wish I had more direction. I'm happy where I am now.
No, but it's good because some people might be feeling lost, like
Yeah.
as they're trying to maneuver through.
And it's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay.
No,
Like,
it's
hey,
so
you're
okay.
not alone. Like,
It's so okay to feel that way. Like it really is.
So then what guided you into the career job you have today?
Yeah. So when I moved back from Italy to Texas, I was like, okay, I need to figure out what I want to do. And then I decided I found like a marketing job like in Miami, and I came down here on a whim and hated it. And then just kind of like progressively just I started doing like marketing and sales jobs. Um which is like feel like an easy thing to fall back on. But having that like mentality was like tough. Like I'm not
I am not a fit.
I'm not a fit.
I'm not a no, and like but I was like, why am I in this profession? Like I give kudos to people that can do it, and for me, it just wasn't like it wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I've always been a creative person, so I finally like discovered what user experience design, user interface design, or like also known as product design is. And I ended up just doing a boot camp for it. And I started working on like just projects on the side to build up my portfolio. And then I started interviewing, and I found like this amazing company with like amazing people, with a really like good mission. And I've been with the company for like over 2 years now.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, like I'm just happy where I ended up. But it took me, like I said, it took me a while to like figure out what was right for me, and that's okay. Like,
Very cool.
Yeah, and that's what's awesome about this because everyone might have had a different journey. Like,
Everyone's
yeah,
journey is unique.
yeah, and I guess just some questions that we want to
yeah.
ask you, like from your college experience, um, were there any like lessons or like behaviors you learned from like playing college soccer that you still like implement in your, everyday life today, or like was there ever like a memory that you remember like where you learned something the hard way in like college soccer where you're like, yeah, I know I will never do this again, or hey, I gotta make sure I do.
Um,
I can give an example.
sure, yeah.
For example, like okay, I remember I was late one time to the soccer to training, right? And I had me and the whole team had to run laps. So like for example, like I'll never be late to like my job, or I always show up on time because I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting yelled at. It's not a good feeling.
That is so funny. Yes, I don't like feeling late to things. I feel like a lot of friends would probably be like, "Shut up, Kelly! Like you're late to things." Like, no, I like generally don't like it. Like, just woke up. No, yes, because it wasn't me though specifically being late to like practice. It was like other teammates, and I just remember like it was twice that it happened that like yes they had to like watch us run, and I just remember thinking like this
Oh
totally
wow.
sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to point out he lied. He's late to everything.
I'm late to everything socially, but I'm not late to like.
He's late to
I'm not
everything.
late to my job.
Right.
I make sure I'm on time to my job.
That's different. No, yeah, I agree. Like I don't want to be yeah, if it's like okay, if it's like 10 to 5 minutes late to like something socially, like whatever. But yeah, job wise, like I just don't or like when I like in college, like I hated being late to class. Like yeah, like that's something that I definitely learned was just being punctual. Oh my God, yeah, especially those are traumatizing
Yeah,
days that we had to run.
not fun.
Oh, not fun at all. So oh my God, I can't imagine being the other person having to watch us run either. Like just sit there and be like,
Yeah, I was
"Your
telling
team
him.
have to run."
Yeah, I was telling him when he was telling the story that something similar. I don't remember where I had it happen, but someone came late to practice, and everyone had to run except the guy who was late.
Mhm.
He stood there and watched everyone
Had to watch
run,
everyone.
and everyone was just looking at this guy like,
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope they learned. I mean,
Yeah.
if I learned that life lesson, I'm sure they would too.
But in the end, so basically, time management skills is what
Oh,
really
yeah.
took away.
Yeah, I think that and just and this may be a little deep, but like I just like being resilient. is also one. I just feel like it takes a lot to play a sport for your entire life and then go and play, whether it's D1 or D3 or whatever, just having that like discipline and then not playing and then figuring out who you are. I think just continuously trying to like get to a point in your life where you're just like happy and you feel like you're comfortable. I think resiliency is just like huge.
Do you feel like you use that in your current job? Like, do you experience in your current job like times where you're like, man, I feel like I'm not gonna get this or something, and then you just kind of,
Yeah,
like, hey,
absolutely. It's a very fast-paced environment, and there's always like little projects that I'm working on. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like that definitely helps.
So the question we like to end on most times is if there's any advice you would give to graduating college athletes or just, college students in general,
Yeah.
what would you give them?
Um, Take your time. I feel like I felt like I was always in a rush in my 20s. Wow, I'm so old. Um, to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, and like I think taking your time to like figure that out and really experience life and not like put too much pressure on yourself is like super important, because if not, like that'll affect your mental health, and no one wants that. Like you have to be happy and like in the journey. um and I feel like even now, like there's always things that I want to like work on, like always things like goals that I want to reach, and that's gonna like be throughout your life. So there's never, as long as you just like enjoy that journey to get like to where you want to be, I think
no,
that's the best thing.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
And everyone's journey is different. Like it's so like not linear. Like it's no one's
Yeah.
the same. So from being a
Don't
college athlete, it's like
not about where you start, but where you finish, and
yeah,
I guess don't just enjoy the journey. I know it's kind of cliche in a sense, but it's kind of true.
And that's what I
no,
was thinking.
And
Like, there could be two
experience.
pharmacists, but their journey to become a pharmacist is going to be drastically different.
right,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
no, it's true. Well, guys, Callie, thank you for coming. Thank you
yeah.
for joining us.
Thanks for having
Callie,
me.
future diplomat.
Future diplomat, excited to see that journey continue. If anybody
One
has
day.
any questions for Callie, you can reach out to us and we'll pass them along. You can catch our episodes.
You can catch our episodes on YouTube, Spotify. You can also follow us on Instagram to get notified when these episodes go live.
That is
All right.
awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Had fun
Thank
doing
you.
this.